evening. We're going to get started. Thank you for your patience.
You got it?
Okay, we'll get started. Thank you again, all of you are here in the audience and everyone listening at home. We apologize for the delay. We have quite a hefty agenda, so we appreciate your patience. With that, I'm calling the meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez?
Present.
Councilman Clark?
Present.
Councilman Deutsch?
Present.
Councilman Gale?
Yes, here.
Councilman Laurent?
Present.
Councilwoman Rosado? Present. Councilman Sanchez?
Present.
Councilwoman Thames?
Present.
Councilwoman Winch?
Here.
We have a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, great. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Trees of beef. Yep.
Okay, we'll jump into our business agenda. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of November 12th, 2019. Second.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Thank you. Duly noted for the record, no vote required. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Through you, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to put the following items on the consent calendars, and there's quite a few. So those item numbers are 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, 18, 21, 23, 27, 36, 38, 39, 43, and 44.
Second, however, there's a friendly amendment to item number 43.
This is the friendly amendment. This is the friendly amendment. Can you read that, since you're the maker of it? Can you read that?
Are you offering a friendly amendment?
Yes, Madam President, I am.
No, I said.
On item number 43, the last line of the replacement resolution would read that there would be provision of comprehensive services to community residents struggling with addiction located in a Frog Hollow site to be determined.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted for the record. Any discussion? Councilman Deutsch.
So through you, if the makers, 5, approve of this friendly amendment as friendly, then it can be on consent. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So since there are 5 individuals, do all the other individuals approve of this friendly amendment?
Yes.
1,
I see
2,
shaking
3,
heads, yes.
4, 5. Okay, then
Thank
it's
you.
accepted as a friendly amendment. Very friendly. Thank
All
you.
right. Mr. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Bermudez?
Yes.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Give that to John.
Councilman Deutsch?
Yes.
Councilman Gale?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Laurent?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado?
Yes to all of them, and I'm recusing myself from item number 36.
Duly noted. Councilman Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lynch?
Yes.
Pass.
Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Through you, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion for the following items to be received. Items number 11, 12, 13, 14.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion on the received items? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez?
Yes.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Deutsch?
Yes.
Councilman Gale?
Yes.
Councilman Laurent?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado?
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lynch?
Yes.
Pass.
Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Through you, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to refer the following items, at which I will have my colleague, Minority Leader Bermudez, read out the description of each. And that is item number 2 and item number 4 to the Legislative Affairs Committee, and item number 41 to the Labor, Education, Workforce, and Youth Development Committee.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Item number 2, resolution confirming the appointment of Patricia LaShane to the Housing Authority for the City of Hartford. Item number 4, resolution confirming the appointment of Ms. Adrienne Jefferson and Ms. Kaylee Townsend as members of the Film, Video, Digital Media, and Social Media Commission. Also, item number 41, resolution for agenda item, substitute resolution for agenda item number 29 of the October 15th meeting that determines and authorizes interdepartmental transfer from several departments into the Department of Public Works for purposes of above to be provided for equity and fairness for these workers.
Did you say 29? We just want to make sure we were accurately reflecting for the record as far as referred items. You didn't. I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on the referred items?
Okay.
Councilman Deutsch?
Thank you, Madam President. Just to be clear, we just said that item 41 would be on consent.
Referral. These are referral items. That's for referral.
All right. If you'll forgive me, I have to take a moment because it's not something that was expected.
Can you speak into the mic,
of
Dr.
course.
Deutsch, please? Thank you.
Item 41 deals with transferring additional funds into the Department of Public Work, and it does so for reasons detailed in the content of the resolution, that many agree that the workers in DPW who function behind the sanitation and recycling trucks do so at a wage that is far lower than some other city employees and with greater hazards to their health. At the same time, they're getting lower pay than many others. And so, having said that, there are some who are vitally affected who would like to postpone this rather than refer it to a committee. I mean, I've just gotten that word, and I, of course, respect that word, that some of the workers in DPW, who, again, all we have to do is go out to the street on the day that our refuse is being collected and speak to them. But I think some of them would like to go through the resolution in a little more detail before it's sent to all of us in a committee or otherwise. And so for that reason, even though I was involved in formulating it, it of course needs to have the firm approval, not just of us, but of the men, and I wish there were some women, those who are involved in DPW in collecting and suffering hazards for which they're not paid. There's no hazardous pay. So I would suggest, instead of having it either on consent or committee referral, to postpone it, and then with another couple weeks, which is the last session of this particular composition and the last session ever for some others, that is taken up again in the next council meeting. So it's unusual for me to make a motion to postpone, but I think that would be fairer to all people to consider any revisions that any of us or the workers might suggest. Motion to postpone.
So there is a motion on the floor to postpone item number 41 specifically, and I know that motion takes precedent. I'm looking at Corporation Counsel. So is there a second to that
Second.
motion? There is a second. Any discussion on the postponement? Councilwoman Lynch.
Yes, Madam President, we're going to be seeing, if the item goes to referral as on our agenda, we will be hearing this item on December the 5th here at City Hall at 6 o'clock. So anyone who has any concerns, DPW workers, city workers, administration, everybody's welcome to come to the meeting at that time. If the item gets postponed or referred back to the council, the public doesn't have an opportunity to speak. Where they can speak is at the committee level. So any discussion that needs to be had in the Labor Committee, which will be taking place on December the 5th, which is my birthday. I'm going to be right here, hopefully discussing this item. So everybody, the public is welcome to attend. You don't get a voice on the council, but you do get a voice in committee. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay. Dr. Deutsch? It still stands?
I withdraw the motion to postpone, and I accept what Councilwoman Winch says, which has a good reason, and emphasize that if the public wants to come, and that public will include those men who do the difficult job of collecting our garbage. Hopefully, we on council will come. This is Thursday, December 5th. Hopefully, we'll all be healthy and around, and maybe then we have such a meeting as Councilwoman Winch suggests, and everyone is welcome to come. So,
Okay, so there is a withdrawal of the postponement, so back to the original referred items of 2, 4, and 41. Motion has been made, properly seconded. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Deutsch.
yes.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilman Laurent.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames.
Yes.
Councilwoman Winch.
Yes.
Pass.
Okay, Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor again.
Through you, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to postpone the following items until December 9, which is our following council meeting, 2019. Those item numbers are 19, 20, 22, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 42.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion on the postponed items? Councilman Deutsch?
and 16 are for action.
Yes, right.
Dr. George?
Okay, yes, Madam President, if I could just elaborate on that one for a moment. On the, oh, that's not that. Can you put the correct thing up there?
Which one? Dr. Deutsch, which one you want?
We're talking about postponement of 42, which,
Is it 42 or this one?
yeah. Okay, I should say, which is news to all of us, I think, that the administration, that means Mayor Bronin and the Chief of Staff Thea, have just said to me, and I say it publicly, that item number 1 will have a release tomorrow of information that confirms that item number 1, along with, there is already, she said, there's already $200,000 allocated, and I may be making a mistake, it may be 100. This was a verbal conversation just an hour ago, 100,000. Will have added to it 65,000. And that most likely will cover an agreement with the Salvation Army to supervise this new center, which most likely, I say with probability, will be in the old Vine Street School. It used to be Thurman Milner School, where there is a safe space with more physical space to accommodate people, not just in chairs, but on mats, on a gymnasium floor, and that there are bathrooms there. And she didn't know about showers. I'm just relating to all of you what was said about an announcement coming tomorrow sometime. And so she felt that they would support item number 1 with the understanding that that includes more physical space than was in Willie Ware. It does not include people sitting up in those uncomfortable chairs with the lights on all night, which we have had eloquent testimony on that subject, including in the Hartford News a few times. And credits go to those who testified and to the author of the articles. So now we all know that the preparation for winter shelter, especially cold weather, will be better than it was. And the Chief of Staff asked me to accept her word, which everyone now hears, that tomorrow there'll be an announcement confirming the location. And if it's not Vine Street School on Vine Street, the old Thurman Milner, then it'll be somewhere else. But that it will have more physical space. She wasn't sure whether there'd be separation between the men's space and the women's space. And then, of course, no children would wind up there. They have another facility on Marshall Street. So to conclude, the Chief of Staff, representing the Mayor, assured me that item number 1, which is income from a sale of property on Barber Street, would have a total of $165,000, and they're looking for the other $35,000. That would make $200,000 in order to have the place staffed and safe for those people who, in the middle of winter, need a safe place to go and to sleep and to be somewhat comfortable. And usually people donate food. So she felt, and being a trusting person, I would accept that some of these things will be taken care of without having them outlined in item number 43, the way we tried to be more specific. In other words, they said they'd take care of it and do it with benefit to those who have no choice but to go to these shelters on cold nights. So I would accept it and vote I'm sorry, I just want to be precise. She suggested withdrawing item 42, which had a little detail on these winter shelters, And I will accept stating so before everyone that this is the reassurance of the administration at the other end that they will take care of some of those things to make people safe and comfortable. So that's why I would respectfully withdraw item number 42 as they requested, rather than postpone it. And we'll trust that when the announcement comes sometime tomorrow, it will be respectful of the comfort, the space, the safety for women as well as men, and the adequacy, even in terms of transportation, where some people, as a matter of fact, I should give gratitude to the person who's not here, who's Shelley Jackson, who prepared a poster with some photos of the way it was at Arroyo. And some of them show people trying to leave there at 7 a.m. with all their worldly possessions in a big black bag, but no way to carry it or to move it to downtown, to go to 211 and get a better disposition. So if everyone is aware of that, and we'll hold the administration accountable and transparent, then we can think that item number 1 will suffice, and we will be watching it each and every week, and item number 42 will be withdrawn. So, and of course, again, item 42 has other authors, and the 3 other authors would also have to approve of the withdrawal. This is like in a marriage. Do you hereby consent to withdrawing this item?
Yeah. Yeah.
1, I do. You consent?
I think all 3 agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's 4. Okay, so I thank you. It was a little verbose, but we want to set the stage for a better place for people that are homeless.
Absolutely. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Oh,
Through you, Madam Chair, in respect to item number 28, which is renaming Coldfield number 9 for Johnny Schoolboy Taylor. There's been a lot of discussion and good media attention to this item. Would just like to say to the public that this item is still in the works, and we are on the last stages of collecting signatures, where those signatures can be sent down to the town and city clerk's office for verification. Then subsequently after that, it's already been referred to the Public Dedication Committee, where they would take this up, and in the hopes that it can be successfully passed by way of the council. This council can vote on it hopefully by the next council meeting, which is December 9th.
all right. Any other discussion on the postponed items? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez?
Yes.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Deutsch?
Yes.
Councilman Gale?
Yes.
Councilman Laurent?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado?
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lynch?
Yes.
Items are postponed.
All right, Mr. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you. Through you, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to withdraw the following items. Item number 30, 37, 40, and 42.
Second.
There's no vote needed as long as the authors do not agree, object, or what have you, we're good. So duly noted for the record. Moving on to the action agenda. Oh, sorry, you have a question, comment, Dr. Deutsch? On the withdrawals?
Yes. Yes. Item 40 relates to appointment of a town and city clerk to succeed the capable one that we have right now, who has been town and city clerk for some time, doesn't hear the praise that he's getting. But we need to appoint a permanent one, and there was one name offered, but it's been suggested by several people that it be taken up in a public session rather than just a resolution. And so a note from the nominee herself, that's Kelly Bilodeau, would like us to make a motion which we support, make a motion to withdraw that resolution appointing her as town and county clerk at her request. She feels strongly that this matter should be addressed by the upcoming council for the vetting process of appointing a town clerk, which translates a little bit that sometimes in January, I pray that it's in January and not in May or June, sometime in January we have a committee of the whole where each person interested in this position can come and be questioned with his or her CV and resume, and all the members of council and perhaps the public can question that person who is seeking this position and compare their credentials, do it objectively and fairly, and compare who has a credential in this, credential in that, is going to school to study how to be a town and city clerk, and so on. So with that, I make the motion to, or I state to withdraw that one, which is item 40. And some of my colleagues may have a word to say as well.
For you, Council President, I just want to echo the sentiment, and we look forward to having interview process through the Committee of the Whole for all of the other candidates.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the, oh, one more, sorry, Councilwoman Winch.
I know I'm way down here, but yeah, I think that, ditto everything that my council members have said ahead. Thank you.
Through the chair, when you withdraw something, it doesn't require a vote, right?
It does not, no,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
No, the items are withdrawn and duly noted for the record. Okay, moving on to the action agenda. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Through you, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to place item number 10 on action.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Excuse me, Madam.
Yes.
Madam Chair, this item number 10, concerns, as I understand it, the Stilts Building owners and the lot across the street from that property at the corner of Church and Main, and the parking garage behind that extends down Talcott Street. And there was an agreement that was made by council concerning various actions that the owners of the Stilts Building were to take in return for
Sorry, just for clarification and the record purposes, there was a motion that was made to move this item to the action agenda, but it was already on the action agenda. So the motion should be to act on the item, to move the item.
And that's my understanding, and I'm now about to make a motion to postpone this item.
Okay, well, that takes precedence, so if you're going to do that, then you need a second for that.
So John Gale continues.
Okay.
So this item is coming before council proposing to extend an agreement that was put in place earlier, several years ago, by this council. It involves many dollars of tax relief that was given to Church Street. It involves many promises that were supposed to be done across the street. And today, this is appearing on our calendar, and we're being asked to take action before sending this to committee, where we would have the opportunity to have the owners come back before us and explain to us why they need an extension of the agreement. And just to be clear, my understanding of the extension that they're seeking is to extend for 6 months certain promises, which may include a promise to pay money in the amount of $1.5 million. I don't know, and I think it's inappropriate to ask a city council to act on something without there being requisite information. We have had no opportunity to talk to the owners. We've had no opportunity to have administration come forward and explain to us what's going on. We've had no opportunity for any information. This is a very large deal, and as a result, I move to postpone this item to the next council agenda to give us an opportunity to receive some information so that we can intelligently vote on this matter.
Okay, there is a motion to postpone on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and properly seconded. Any discussion on the postponement?
Any what?
Discussion on the postponement.
It's not debatable.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Let me preface my statements by saying we have had communication through this transmittal to the council from the administration and department head regarding this item before us. During these past 4 years, it has not been uncommon at the request of the administration for this council to move swiftly without taking items, having them be referred to a particular committee. Given time-sensitive matters, it is not uncommon for this council to vote on particular items at the upcoming meeting. Whether people have disagreed with the administration's actions with request, this council has done its due diligence by asking particular questions prior to the council's vote. With that being said, I believe all council members have been briefed as to the time-sensitive nature of this particular item. And let's keep in mind that these developers are employers of Hartford residents, and many Hartford residents who may not get a chance to work with a Fortune 500 company are given chances by these developers to be employed in this city and provide a good income that they can be able to place food on their kitchen tables by many working families. So I am not in agreement with postponing this item. I am in agreement with passing this item today, and I'm hoping that the rest of my colleagues would agree with me and join with me in passing this item.
Minority Leader, and then Councilwoman Winch.
Through you, Council President. Point of clarification from Corporation Counsel's office. Can you just state why this is time sensitive?
Through you, Madam President, it's my understanding it's time sensitive because in the current agreement, which we're proposing to amend, certain actions have to be taken by this particular developer, Shelbourne, by the end of December. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an amended agreement, which would change the date by which decisions would need to be made about the parking garage at Talcott Plaza. So this needs to be done before the end of the year, but with time for the administration to negotiate an amendment.
Okay, so by the end of December 31st, 2019.
Through you, well before that.
And point of clarification, if we were to enter, this is for Corporation Counsel, through you, Council President, if we were to go to a committee of the whole to expedite so that we wouldn't have to wait for the next council meeting, is that a feasibility? Is that something that we could potentially do?
I would say that's a decision for this body to make. It's not a legal question.
Councilwoman Winch.
Yes, Madam President. I'm also in favor of passing this item. This organization has really been not good community partners, but great Hartford community partners. They've been trustworthy over the years. We have not had any issues in the state of Connecticut with this organization. I'm in favor of the 6-month extension, and whatever it is that the council still have questions about, you still have that time period that you can call them in, ask questions. And one of the other things that Councilman Clark alluded to that is very important to me is labor is concerned, that not only do they hire Hartford residents, they are Hartford residents. And so it is very important that we continue to support the residents who live here, who have businesses, the way we have supported those who come in to Hartford to do businesses and don't hire Hartford residents.
Councilman Gale.
So, to my point earlier, I've heard a number of statements here made by my colleagues that I have no ability to confirm. I've heard it said that there's a Fortune 500 company involved. The only company that's named in this resolution is Shelbourne Properties. And to my knowledge, Shelbourne Properties is not a Fortune 500 company. I've also heard it said that these are companies that are owned by local people. Actually, the principals that I've met of Shelbourne are not local people. They're very much not local people. So it may be that there is a lot of good information out there. It may be that there are partners that are Hartford people. It may be that there are all sorts of great reasons for us to pass this. In fact, I would expect that I would likely vote in favor of it. But I think it's inappropriate to ask this council to vote on it without having that information. And to the point that was stated that all council members have been briefed on this, that is simply not true. Unless you want to say that a member of the administration talking before this meeting to one or more council members constitutes a briefing. I have not been briefed on this, and respectfully to the minority leader's question, this was originally discussed as going to be referred to the Planning and Economic Development Committee, which is meeting on December 3rd, a Tuesday. This could still go to that committee, could meet on Tuesday. We could meet with the principals of Shelbourne. They could explain to us what's going on, and it would still make it back for the December 9th agenda in time to pass it before the end of the year. I simply don't understand the urgency of passing something without having just a modicum of discussion with the actual principals who, and as the resolution says, got a 5-year, multi-million-dollar tax benefit from the city of Hartford. This is not small change. Thank you.
Councilman Deutsch.
Thank you. Surprising as it may be, I agree with and support Councilman Gale's point, and would add only that the public also needs to get informed about this. It's a big deal. It's a big transaction, and some of our members may have some feelings or knowledge about it also, which I don't think we've had the benefit of hearing. You know, some people may know something about Shelbourne that we don't know, and these buildings and the parking situation, all that. So I think that's a reason to support postponement before we endorse what really is a big deal without the complete information that some of us need, really, and the opportunity to have a give and take, not only for us, but those of us who are watching at home or sitting here, or other experts, you know, who may have a different viewpoint. So I would support that that kind of approach, to have more of a hearing and invite other people to come.
Councilwoman Rosado.
It's terrible, it did. So I just want to add on to the comments of my colleagues. I do support this resolution passing today. This is a
Any other further comments? And again, this is a postponement that we're voting on. A motion has been made, properly seconded. Any discussion on a postponement? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
No.
Councilman Deutsch.
Yes.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilman Laurent.
No.
Councilwoman Rosado.
No.
Councilman Sanchez.
No.
Councilwoman Thames.
No.
Councilwoman Winch.
No?
Fail.
Now, going back to the original action item that is on the floor to move, is there, Councilman Gale?
I make a motion to amend the resolution in front of us to restrict the extension to concern itself only with the demolition of the garage and no other term of the existing agreement.
So that's the amendment that's on the table.
Yes.
And so I have an amendment of my own. So I would
Do
like,
you want me to withdraw my amendment in favor of yours?
yes, I would appreciate that because I think it accomplished
Same thing.
the same thing.
Let's hear it.
So I would like to add an amendment to the second resolve that would read, so it would be the second resolve. So this would go right after the first resolve. And it would read that said extension be granted contingent upon the December 2019 payment in full of approximately $1.5 million.
Second.
So essentially, what we're being asked is to extend the original fulfillments and obligations of the abatement 6 months. And there's a payment that is due this month, so I want to ensure that those original requirements are fulfilled and that the administration does not execute this extension until that payment is in full. And I think that's a reasonable ask, given the circumstances and the changing situation with respect to the garage and fully understanding if it can be salvageable. Because that's essentially what is driving this extension. The developers originally thought they were going to demolish it. Preliminary studies, assessments realized that it could be salvageable, so they are asking for 6 months more time to determine if that indeed is the case. And I want to ensure that they are paid in full with the original payment schedule before we execute this extension. So that is what this amendment is requiring.
Let's second it again.
So there's a second
I second that one. Your amendment.
on the table to my amendment. Councilman Gale, I know you had an amendment.
I withdrew my amendment.
You withdrew it, okay,
Withdraw
so
in
you're,
favor,
okay,
yes, but I want to comment on yours.
okay, cool. You have the floor.
Thank you. And my comment is that the fact that you're making this amendment just adds to what I said earlier, that this was not a well-cooked resolution when it got to us. And apparently, at some point in time, you and others learned that the payments that were supposed to have been made haven't been made. And so now we're just going to make sure that at least the payments are made before December 31st, so the extension doesn't give them another 6 months to make the payments. And I may have all of that wrong, and I don't claim to have it right. It's just, kind of the buzz that I'm hearing up here at the dais on the evening of the city council meeting. All comes back to my point that we shouldn't be asked to act on such a matter of great consequence without having sent it to committee first. That said, I'm going to support the amendment as it's been introduced.
Again, I don't disagree with anything that you stated, but I think time is of the essence, and there was a lot of time and effort that went into the original tax abatement that this council approved. So I think we're all very familiar with it because we did a lot of due diligence when we first did it. And so now, fast forwarding, essentially what this ask is for 6 more months to determine if the garage is salvageable, and everything else remains in place with respect to the original tax abatement terms, conditions that we originally approved. And again, my amendment is ensuring that payments that are due with respect to that original plan are current and paid in full prior to us granting this extension. Councilman Clark.
So, through you, Madam President, a couple of questions. The payment that Shelbourne Group is supposed to be making, which is $1.5 million.
Approximately.
Approximately $1.5 million. Are you saying that when they make their payment, that's when the 6 months triggers? So how would that work?
Well, currently, one of the triggers that would put them in default of this current tax abatement is the December 31st date, right?
If they don't make a payment.
If they don't make the payment. And so what I'm saying is that we need to ensure that they make the payment, that then in turn, we can say, okay, you can get another 6 months to determine if the garage is salvageable.
So through your amendment, that will say, that says that after they make the $1.5 million, the 6 months starts, which is going to be included in this resolution.
Right, and that was reflective of what my amendment was. So the first resolve reads that the Court of Common Council hereby approves amending the original settlement agreement to extend the time. Again, we're just focused on the time extension by which Shelbourne Properties can evaluate whether to demolish or repair the Talcott parking garage to June 30th, 2019. And be it further resolved that said extension be granted contingent upon the December 2019 payment in full of approximately $1.5 million.
Okay. And for the record, on the screen it says reach June 30th, 2020, but in our resolution it reached June 30th, 2019.
So it should be 2020.
Okay.
That it's what's on the screen is the right time period because it's 6 months from December 2019.
I just want to be clear. That's all.
Yes.
And also, too, I just want to make a comment again, and not to sound like a broken record, but precedence has been set with this body for our current term where it has been requested of us to act upon time-sensitive matters, that it not go through sometimes a committee process, and we are requested to act upon it at the given council meeting. So this type of resolution is nothing new to this body where we have been requested to act upon stuff on a time-sensitive matter. Just want to make that clear for the record.
Any further discussion on the amendment? I have introduced it. It's been seconded. So we would be voting on the amendment. Correct. Are we all clear? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Pass.
Councilman Deutsch.
Abstain.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilman Laurent.
Yes, pass.
Which one?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes? Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames.
Yes.
Councilwoman Winch.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Pass.
All right. Now to the amended item. So item as amended is what is on the floor. So can I get a motion to move it?
make a motion to
Move
item number 10.
as amended.
As amended.
Yep. Second, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and properly seconded as amended. Discussion, Councilman Gale?
Yes, I just want to reiterate, I supported the amendment certainly, but I'm not going to support the passage of the item as amended for the reasons I stated in my motion to postpone. Don't think it's appropriate that we should be passing this without some more factual basis.
Councilman Deutsch?
Simply to say that I have to agree with that approach. This is not just a small purchase, a small matter for this downtown city development. So I would also cannot vote for it even as amended, and likely will abstain on the logical grounds that we just don't have enough information to give this the go-ahead the way things are now. We don't have the detail. We don't have the community benefits agreement in detail before us, which we have all talked about, the importance of community benefits and hiring women and minorities in fair proportions and so on and so forth, even building a playground nearby. So that I would also have to not support it, and in this case, sadly, have to abstain.
Through you, Council President. So if we're looking at the timeline and we understand that this is expedited, it has to be expedited before the end of the year. If we were to meet as we had originally talked about, getting this referred to committee for December 3rd, we have our council meeting on December 9th, we still have enough time to vote on this. Is that correct, Corporation Counsel?
Yes, I mean, from that perspective, there is a PEDH committee meeting that's scheduled for next Tuesday. Agenda day is Wednesday, so it would be on schedule to be on the next council agenda on the 9th. But again, based on our understanding from the administration, we need to approve this well before the December 31st deadline, so there needs to be some weeks built in for negotiating the final agreements and contractual obligations that Corporation Counsel's office and the administration has to undertake.
So is the question then that there's just not enough time after the December 9th council meeting? Is there just not enough time for them to do that negotiating? Is that the question?
That is my understanding. And again, just to put it in perspective again, this is a deal, a tax abatement deal that this council approved. Nothing is changing with that original tax abatement deal that we did 2 years ago. And so all the components, terms, conditions are all a part of that. And so what this is asking us today specifically is for 6 months more time to, again, focus on the garage, on whether they can salvage the garage. That is all we're approving. It's time. Everything else remains intact with the original agreement that we all did our due diligence on and all approved. Councilwoman.
Yes, I just want to reiterate that I know that we keep talking about the next committee meeting, which is next Tuesday. Remind everyone that today is Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday.
Today's Monday. It's how confusing it is.
And we want to bring back the developers to the table, and so we also need to be very mindful of other people's schedules, and that is the holidays.
Councilman Clark.
I'm going to be brief. I had spoke earlier regarding people that are given second chances to work for corporations. I mentioned the fact that they do not get a chance to work for a Fortune 500 company. I consider this a Fortune 500 company, even though it may not be. But however, there are many people who live in our city that are employed by part of the developer group that, again, get paid a good wage, they provide food to their table, so we should not be an obstruction of something that we have already agreed to 2 years ago to make sure that a 6-month extension so that and down the road they can put more people to work and they can hire more Hartford residents.
Call the question, Madam President.
Mr. Clerk, please call a roll.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Pass.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Deutsch.
Abstain. Not enough information.
Councilman Gale.
No.
Councilman Laurent.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames.
Yes.
Councilwoman Winch.
Yes.
Councilman Deutsch. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Bermudez.
Abstain.
Pass.
All right, moving on to item number 16. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
So, through you, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to put item number 16 on action.
Second?
The motion, just, let's correct the motion for the record. The motion is to move, not put it on the action agenda. So just,
So I'd like to make a motion to move item number 16 for action.
Second?
okay, a motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion on item number 16? Councilman Gale.
Thank you, Madam President. I have an amendment that was previously circulated to council, and I'm going to make that amendment at this time to the resolution. And just for some context, the resolution concerns property at concerns property at 20 Sargent Street in Hartford, and the proposal is to sell the tax liens. The city is owed $1.7 million in back taxes, and the proposal is to sell those taxes to Express Kitchens for about $650,000, leaving the city with about $1 million of uncollected taxes. And there are actually 3 items on our agenda tonight that all involve tax relief of one form or another. This is tax relief by selling a tax lien. We have 2 other items that were on the agenda. One was a tax abatement, and the other one is a tax fixing agreement. My position with respect to all 3 of those agreements is that they should be consistent, that there should be a policy of the city of Hartford when we're giving someone a tax benefit of some sort or another. In turn, we require something for the citizens, for the residents of Hartford, and that something is a community benefits agreement. And this is not something new that this council has done. We've attempted to be consistent with this in the past. This particular resolution came to us without a community benefits agreement, and so I would like to amend the resolution to add that, and I'm going to read the amendment into the record in a second. But there's a second part of the amendment which I think is also equally applicable here and should be involved with every one of these tax relief or tax assistance agreements, and that is a clawback provision. And a clawback provision, as it applies here, very simply says that if you get a tax benefit from the city of Hartford and within a certain period of time you turn around and you sell that property and make a profit, that you have to pay back some of the tax benefit that you got, some or all. It also, and the amendment that I'm going to make also says you can't refinance the property and take cash out of the property without paying back the city, because that's another tool that people can use to get money out of the property without putting it into the property. And so I make an exception for any financing that's taken to be put into the property. So if you're going to borrow money to put it into the property, no problem. But if you're taking money out of the property and putting it in your pocket, then the city of Hartford needs to be at the table. And so the amendment that I've proposed, that I previously circulated to everyone, has 4 resolves. Resolve number 1, that for the 10-year period commencing with the assignment of the liens, all construction or work performed at the property by or for the benefit of Express Kitchens shall comply with Article 12, Section 2-680 of the Hartford Municipal Code, Hartford Affirmative Action Plan / Equal Employment Opportunity, and that 15% of any and all construction project costs shall be set aside and paid to minority and women business enterprises, and that no less than 15% of all construction work hours by trade will be worked by minority and/or women trade workers, and that no less than 30% of any and all construction work hours shall be worked by Hartford residents. Second resolved, that any future refinance in said 10-year period, 10% of the gross proceeds shall be paid to the city, not exceeding the total of uncollected taxes, which in this case is $959,649.47. The third resolved says, however, that any funds raised by refinancing by Express Kitchens for construction of the property, construction at the property shall be exempt from the above 10% recapture to the extent that they are used for construction in the property. And the fourth resolve says that upon any future sale or transfer of the property within said 10-year period, payment shall be made to the city of 10% of the gross proceeds, not to exceed the total of the uncollected taxes. That's the amendment that I make, Madam.
Is there a second? Councilwoman Wynch?
I don't raise my hand to second it. I just, have my concerns is that I have absolutely nothing.
There has to be a second.
Oh,
It's
no,
not
okay.
discussion yet.
No,
Because if there's no second, there's no motion. So is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. Councilwoman Wynch?
Yeah, I just have a problem with, it seems to me that, whenever we're dealing with individuals who have already proven to be good partners, that we want them to do due diligence, and we want them to jump hoops, and we want them to provide us all these reports and all this additional work. These are people who we know. These are people who we have a history of doing business with in the city of Hartford. We know they hire Hartford residents because we go to their businesses and we see them, and we know them. So these aren't strangers. So to have, I have no problem with that. Do that with somebody who come into the city of Hartford who want to do business. Somebody who's new to the city who want to come in, new business, and get those people to be accountable for hiring Hartford residents, hiring minority contractors, doing business in the city as it should be done in accordance with our ordinances. These people are already doing that. So I am in favor of moving this item forward, and I'm not in favor of any amendments.
Councilman Clark?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Express Kitchen Tops and the owner has a long history of employing Hartford residents, again, those who receive second chance opportunities that other employers do take a pass on. And furthermore, this resolution, I believe, calls for purchasing of the property. And as I understand it, because they're buying the tax liens, as I understand it, that if they look to develop on the site or make some type of renovations, then that's when they can come by way of the administration to the council to request some type of a tax abatement on the property. But all they are doing is just purchasing this property through the normal channels, which is through the city for tax liens. And I might add that every other entity that purchases tax liens, there is nothing considered by way of a clawback clause or community benefits agreement for just purchasing a tax lien sale, purchasing property through tax lien sale. So I would request that we move on this item to take action on this. Thank you.
Minority Leader.
Through you, Council President. I just want to mention that Express Kitchens has been an amazing partner with the City of Hartford and with so many of the residents of Hartford. The work that Max and the family has done to give back to the community has been immense, and it has really quadrupled in terms of the amount of giving back that he's done, and as an entity they've done. And it is also my understanding that Express Kitchen does not owe any taxes, back taxes to the city, compared to other items on here, other developers that do owe a significant amount. This initial resolution has my full support in terms of how it was initially introduced. I think that when we're talking about tax liens or tax benefit agreements, there's certainly a lot of more conversations to be had, but as an entity and knowing and seeing firsthand their work, I know that they're on our court, they're on our side.
Councilman Miguel.
Yeah, I just want to say that I share everybody's admiration for Express Kitchens and appreciate what a great Hartford business that they are. And they are such a great Hartford business that, frankly, I know that Express Kitchens will have absolutely no problem with a community benefits agreement. They wouldn't be here objecting to it. My colleagues might want to object to it on their behalf, but Express Kitchens certainly would not object to it. They've been a leader in this throughout. What is rather to the point here tonight is that policy of the City of Hartford should not be made on an ad hoc basis. Policy of the City of Hartford should not be made on the basis of who you know or that this is somebody that you've had a good relationship with in the past, maybe that somebody else hasn't. That's not how you make policy. Policy is policy. You should treat them all equally, transparently, so that anybody who comes to the City of Hartford knows what the deal is. And so the amendment that I've proposed is not in any way, shape, or form designed to hurt a good Hartford business. It's designed to let it be known to anybody that's coming to the City of Hartford that we have a uniform policy, that this is what it is when you come to the City of Hartford. There's going to be a community benefits agreement and everything. And frankly, I've heard all of my colleagues say that at different times in the 4 years that I've been on this council, that there needs to be one. Well, here's an opportunity where there needs to be one as well, just so that you're consistent. I would also say that, to the comment that was made earlier, in the 4 years that I've been on this council, this is the very first tax lien sale that we've been involved in that was not a 100% sale. Every other tax lien sale that we've been involved in was selling tax liens for 100%. In that case, you're getting all your taxes. We are not getting all our taxes with this tax lien sale. We are forfeiting, at this point, almost $1 million in taxes. We're doing it for a very good reason, and I support the very good reason. By the same token, however, I also support the fact that if, per chance, this owner decided to sell this building at some point in time, the City of Hartford ought to have the opportunity to be at the table and get some or all of its money back. And that's the only purpose for adding in what's called the clawback provision. Certainly not to penalize this owner, who, quite frankly, I think will probably own this building till all time, for all time. But anyway, just wanted to make those things clear. Thank you.
Councilman Deutsch and then Councilman Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. When you hear that someone has complied with the guidelines or the law, you say, great. And then when you hear that he or she has done so time after time with guidelines, that's us setting those for the city and everyone else proposing them. So you say, great, why would any owner who is serious about employing people locally do so and commit himself or herself to do so, not with just the good faith efforts that we argued about so many times, but with the accomplishment of hiring in a fair manner, including Hartford residents, women, minorities, and so on. So I don't see why one would object that Max or any other development would say, fine, I will do it. And I agree again with Councilman Gale that to have a policy makes it so that you can't say, well, we'll do it for this one, but not for that one. Or we'll suspect, like we suspect for Trump, that there will be unfair application of laws to friends or to payoffs and so on. So it's a matter of comfort. And that's why we need to have laws, for stopping at a red light or having a guardrail. Not that someone's going to crash, but it's a protection. So I agree again that we should have these time after time to hold people to a certain standard that we agree on, instead of saying, well, let's make an exception for this one and let someone else slide because of difficult circumstances. So for what that's worth, I think we need a policy. In fact, many of us have spoken of having a community benefits policy so that people can look at it and read it. And they say, well, I can't comply with that. I won't try. Or I can and I will. Enough said. Thank you.
Councilman Clark.
Thank you,
and then
through you,
Councilwoman Wynch.
Madam Chair. If we want to debate or create policy regarding community benefits agreement or clawback clause, fine, let's do that. But let's not do that right now. Let's not do it where we have a Hartford-based business that has a track record of success in our city. Let's not do it at a last-minute effort where we have not included them in a conversation. We have done it with other policy where we have included other developers and other owners of property. For example, the housing code, where we had put them in a room to say if they would be comfortable with this type of language. So let's not do this now to community-based organizations such as Express Kitchens, where again they have a track record of success in employing our Hartford residents. I don't think that is fair to them. I don't think that it's fair for us to put something in at the last minute, and we just debated on something as a last minute effort. Let's get this resolution passed. I would also say that we need to check the record regarding tax lien sales, because I believe that we have had tax lien sales that have not been sold at 100%. So let's not do this to this type of or organization, this entity, again, that has a track record of success in employing our Hartford residents. Let's get this passed. Let's debate about policy. Let's debate about a community benefits agreement for the next council to debate that on, and so we can have some firm policy with that. Thank you.
Councilwoman Wynch.
Yes, Madam President. Some of the things that Councilman Guild mentioned are already, in our municipal code and are not followed by many. But this is not an organization that does not. So, and I disagree that track record doesn't matter. It matters. If you have a history of doing things, right, hiring Hartford residents would be right. Using local contractors would be right. Being a great city business partner is right. So I think that those things are important. And I do agree with the policy, but let's create a generic policy, not hinge it on this individual project right here. So if it's a policy that needs to be put in place, I'm all for policy. And while I won't be sitting on this dais, after January 1st, I will be out there, addressing this council when it comes to labor, contracted employment opportunities for Hartford residents. So I agree with the policy, but I don't agree that we should start with this one.
Councilman Gale.
Well, hearing all the desire for us to enact policy, and knowing that this matter has only been before council for a scant 2 weeks, I would make a motion to postpone this item so that we can take the opportunity, instead of making policy at the last minute. To my colleague's point, I absolutely agree. In fact, I came into this council meeting tonight thinking that this was going to get referred, that this was actually going to be postponed, because we were going to have that policy discussion. And then at the last minute, it changed from postponed to action. So at this point in time, I'd make the motion to go back to, let's postpone it, let's talk about policy, and let's make this happen for them. It doesn't have to take a long period of time. The policy is pretty straightforward, but let's postpone it. So I
All
move to
right,
postpone.
there's a postponement on the floor which takes precedent. Is there a second? Okay. Died. There's no second. So I have something to say, and then hopefully we can wrap this up. I am, a full supporter of Express Kitchen's expansion, given, their long decades relationship and business operations in the city of Hartford and all what they have done to give back to the community. And I do think there's important to make a distinction between a tax lien sale and a tax abatement, and they shouldn't be treated as the same, right? And I take, full support and agreement of everything that everybody said, because it's all true, and it's something that I have tried to be a champion of with respect to community benefits. And I fundamentally believe that we need a level of modernization and consistency within our code around community benefits, because currently we have community benefits legislation, ordinance that's on the books that is 20 years outdated, if you will. And so that is work that needs to be had. That is work that has started. As you all recall, I hosted community forums around community benefits agreements across the city in early May, June, and we received a lot of informative information from developers, from residents with respect to expectations and what people want to see within respect to community benefits. And so that's something that I've been actively working on with the administration, because I think all of us have had the frustration of dealing with a lot of what has become forward on a case-by-case basis. And so I think the goal moving forward that, I probably will not be a part of, because I assume we'll turn into a pumpkin as far as my leadership on this council, but I do think there's work and there's foundation that has been built to be carried on and for the next council to take up, and I hope to see that happen, and I will continue to partner and work with the new council to ensure that happens, because I do think that is a disconnect, and that's something that, this council body, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to really look at that policy and really update it in a comprehensive fashion. So that's still an outstanding item that needs to happen, and I think that's a lot of the frustration that we're hearing from council members, because there's this level of inconsistency, and we've had to kind of deal with it on a case-by-case basis. But I think what's before us with respect to a tax lien sale, which again, I would have to rebut Councilman Gale, that we have, done tax lien sales that we weren't getting 100% of the value, because that's the whole purpose to some extent, right? We're selling it at a discount to a buyer, if you will. But the intent of this purchase and these tax liens, if you will, is to get a property that has been severely delinquent back to productive use and on the tax rolls with a partner that has had a track record. So that is something that I personally can support, if you will. And again, who's had a record of giving back to the community with respect to providing individuals with second chance opportunities and second chance employment, if you will. So again, with that, I think, all sides bring great points to the conversation, but we can't put out there now, when we have something before us, hold this particular entity to another standard that wasn't out there when they negotiated in good faith with this deal that's in front of us. So with that, I would move to vote. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. There is an amendment on the floor. But his amendment wasn't seconded. It wasn't seconded.
Yeah, it was. We're voting second.
She's.
Voting on the amendment.
We're voting on the amendment. So we're voting on the item as amended.
Okay, pass.
Oh, on the amendment, I'm sorry. We're voting on the amendment that Councilman Gale put on the floor.
It was never seconded.
It was, Will DeLee seconded. She didn't second the postpone. I think that's where the confusion was. So she seconded the amendment. So that's what we're voting on, his amendment.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Clerk.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Pass.
Councilman Clark.
No.
Councilman Deutsch.
No.
Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Councilman Laurent.
No.
Councilwoman Rosado.
No.
Councilman Sanchez. No. Councilwoman Thames.
No.
Councilwoman Winch.
No.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
No.
Fail.
Now, just on the original
Item number 16.
item 16.
Correct.
Any discussion, further discussion?
Call the question.
Okay.
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Yes.
Would you please read the final?
It's item number 16. We're voting on the original item. That's
Yeah.
what's on the floor now.
Right, just to iterate that. All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Deutsch.
Abstaining. Again.
Councilman Gale.
No.
Councilman Laurent.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosado.
Yes.
Councilman Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thames.
Yes.
Councilwoman Winch.
Yes.
Pass. That's it.
All right, Mr. Majority Leader, I think that is it for our agenda. And so we have exhausted our time here tonight. Thank you all for joining us in the audience and everyone viewing at home. Happy Thanksgiving. This is a holiday week. We're all grateful for all of you. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.